Welcome to another episode of the Pre-Chiro podcast, where we just aim to bring context to what it's like to be a chiropractor, how chiropractors think. And if you're considering becoming a chiropractor one day, you're in for a treat today because we got Dr. Josh Siegel from out in Long Island, New York. Dr. Josh, appreciate you joining us today to just share some insight with the students. Today, you will be somewhat of a guidance counselor for them if they're considering this path. You're just going to give them some spirit, give them some truth.
Awesome. Thank you for having me.
My pleasure. Can we just get started by you sharing a little bit about what your background was before you became a chiropractor and what it was? Maybe it was a moment, maybe it was you finding chiropractic on purpose, but can you just describe how you found chiropractic and what attracted you to become a chiropractor?
Yeah, so my story is like many people that got chosen to be a chiropractor. As a child, I was a really sick child. I actually missed like 50 days of school when I was 6 years old, and I'm a twin. And in twin world, there's usually one dominant twin, meaning a strong immune system, and one weaker. And I always say like the story of like Danny DeVito and Arnold Schwarzenegger in the movie Twins. I was Danny DeVito, and my twin sister was like smarter, this, that, and I had a real weak immune system. So I have to go into the allergist for a few months, and getting sicker and sicker and sicker. Someone told my mom about chiropractic, and they said, you got to go check out this chiropractor in Glen Cove, so Roslyn area. So I went to the chiropractor. He said, the only thing's wrong with you is that you have subluxation. I go, what's a subluxation or a submarine? And he says there's a disconnect in your nerve system, in your neurology, not allowing your body to adapt to stress. So he goes, give me 6 months, and I guarantee I will change your life. And so I started getting adjusted, and within 1 month of care, I had no more allergies, meaning I didn't need an inhaler. I had no more allergies. And within 6 months, everything was completely gone. So that was my first personal experience with chiropractic. But what I really got from that as a kid, not really knowing at 6 years old, that by going to the chiropractor, I was able to play outside and just be a normal kid and actually get back to school. And that was my first big aha moment. But what really awakened me to want to really be a chiropractor, I was 11 years old at the time. From 6 to 11, my dad was an IV drug user and wanted to become an HIV and AIDS positive. And from the AIDS and HIV, he developed cancer. And I remember at the time when I was 11 years old, him telling me after he got sober that the doctor said he had a few months left to live. And so of course my life was devastating knowing that my dad was going to die in a few months. And my parents were divorced at the time, and the chiropractor said to my mom, tell your ex-husband to come on in. We can help make his transition easier. And he started getting adjusted, and he lived an extra 2 years, and he passed away a week after my bar mitzvah. And so that was my first real moment that said chiropractic is about changing lives. Chiropractic gave me an extra 2 years from my dad. And, I wanted to dedicate my life to it. At the time, I really wasn't a good student. Not that I was a bad kid. I just didn't really like school. I liked sports. I was an average student. And my guidance counselor in the school told me never to do science classes again. And I kind of took that. So I was going to school to be an elementary school teacher. And I got kind of bored of it. It just was the same bureaucratic, political BS day after day. And I said, I want to work with kids and families and change lives on a different level. And one night I was with my friends. I said, I'm going to be a chiropractor. And I sent in an application because I did my term paper in 12th grade on chiropractic. I said, if I get into Life University, I'll go. At the time, I didn't realize or knew that they let everybody in that applied. But I got in 1998, did my prereqs, and started chiropractic school in like 2000.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Whew, sweet. So it's been a ride then. You've been in practice for over 20 years at this point. And can you just describe a little bit about, if you reflect back on what the experience was like in chiropractic school for you, what you were attracted to, or which paths that you took as a chiropractic student?
Yeah, so definitely in chiropractic school, I was one of those guys that kind of sat in the back of the room during my basic sciences. But when it came to the philosophy, art, I was like, it was my passion. It was my fire. So, I started to surround myself with these amazing chiropractors. One of my mentors, who as well, who was on the show a few weeks ago, Arnaud Brunier. And I went to his Making Love to the Spine seminar, it was called. And I just said, man, this is something so different than anything I've experienced. So I started just to hang with him, and I got invited to his seminar, his Masterpiece Training Camp in Helen, Georgia. And it was like 20 of us. There was like 10 staff and 20 of us. It was Sue Brown, Lou Carletto, Jake Kamarick, Elizabeth Wellham, Dr. Jen, and I mean, so many of these amazing chiropractors. And I fell in love with the structural approach mixed with the tonal. And I just started hanging with these people, and I started working with Arnaud, and I think I went to like 10 camps I was on staff for, and just started teaching with him for years. But wherever he went, I went. And then when I came back to New York, I started going to this philosophy seminar called New Beginnings. At the time in Atlanta, it was DE. I went to DE all the time. And then I would go back to New Beginnings, and I met one of the biggest mentors in my life, Pasquale Cerasoli. And he was this old-time chiropractor that he'd actually got chiropractic legal in New York. And he looked like Einstein. He would talk and really enunciate. And, he said, every time you come home, Josh, come to my meeting on Thursday called Self-Center, CL-F. And so I started seeing him, I guess, in 2000-ish. And I spent every vacation, every time I came to New York with Pasquale. And he was born September 11, 1911. And he showed me that chiropractic is not about the physical. Even though we're taught that in school, it's about the spiritual awareness of being anointed in spirit. And yeah, you dance with the physical and the spiritual, but when you bring those two worlds together, watch what will happen. And so I just started hanging with these great mentors and masters. And the thing I got out of it was keep on working. And, I almost moved to Tennessee to go. Lou Carletto, he's like, yeah, I want to give you my practice. And I didn't even have my boards yet. He's like, don't even worry about it. But my challenge with school was passing tests, not the art form and not the adjustment, but going through taking tests just wasn't my forte at the time, because I had a lot of self-doubt. Even though I could really let the spirit deliver an adjustment through me, when it came to the heady stuff, it just wasn't my repertoire at the time.
Mm-hmm. Can you unpack that concept of having an adjustment come through you? And also, the intention of pre-chiro is really to get students starting to live as a chiropractor now before they even go to chiropractic school, and to start to almost train in the basic skill sets. They're not going to be able to go to adjusting seminars yet, but can you just walk people through the concept of having adjustments come through you, and also the spiritual side of being a chiropractor?
So, what I'm working on now, before I even go into, I call it the service time, when I'm serving people, not serving patients, because the word patient means to suffer. I don't want anyone to suffer. I want people to grow and connect. So before I even lay my hands on people, my preparation, I do with Zach every morning. We do a 49 breath call. And it's a breathing exercise that Dr. Sid would share that would allow us the Kundalini breath. That 49 breaths is a powerful number, because it's all about transformation. So before I even start my day, I breathe. Before I even breathe, I read the Bible. And before I even read the Bible, I wake up and get my body moving 5 days a week. So, we always say proper preparation creates proper performance. I don't just show up to the office now and just say, oh, I'm ready to serve, because it's a mindset. It's a skill set. Like they say, as an athlete, 90% is preparation, 10% is playing that game. So when I show up to the office, I'm worked out already. I read the Bible, and then I meditate. And when I meditate what I want to create through that day. Every day I have affirmations that I affirm to the universe in how I want to serve humanity, how I want to help people transform, how I want to attract and be that influencer, that magnet, that, that vibration that just literally lets that flow come through you. And so when we start our serving hours, it's short bursts, like 3 hour stints, I call it, because any more than that for me, I kind of get distracted. I don't have that. I got that. I don't want to even claim it, but it's 3 hours to me is like boom, like boom, like boom. And it's adjusting hours. And so when I think about being a vessel, Pasquale used to talk about being a hollow vessel, being a hollow bone. And if we think about the concept of a tuning fork, when you bang that tuning fork, it creates a ripple. And so the adjustment is to bring a force through you allowing that force to come through you into that bone. And, people will say, you do the adjustment. No, you know what? I let it come through me. And one of the things I say, I move the bone, God does the healing. But I even think, no, it's not even that. It's allowing that force to come through you. And that innate intelligence within inside of you is what actually moves that bone millimeters or changes that tone. It's not even the chiropractic. One thing, I think a lot of things we're taught in school is, I'm the doctor. Yeah, you got to know what's up. But if you truly believe that the only person you're in control of is you, and the only person that leads you is God's source of spirit, then we really have no control over what happens. We can look at the physical parameters, leg length change, and all these things, but that's a small piece. That's a low-hanging fruit in the adjustment. I want to see people crack open. In the Kabbalah, they say you got to be crushed to be illuminated. And so when I think about that adjustment, I'm literally putting in a force and allowing that force, which is life, which is light, which is love, to go through that bone and literally clear out the debris. And, you got to tear off the husk in life. You got to tear off like all that cement from childhood to however old you are. That stuff gets stuck in your system. That stuff gets stuck in your patterns. And then it becomes a neurological pattern. So chiropractic is the mind, body, and spirit. And I believe you can't separate it. And so you got to think about just being a hollow and letting things flow. Because if you think about it, as I talked today with Dr. Schiffman, you get really analytical. And it's like, oh, I'm going to force this. But as Pasquale said, you can't win by knocking doors down. You got to let things flow. And when spirit moves you here, you do this. When spirit moves you here, you do that. But you got to work on both sides, in the physical and the spiritual.
Mm-hmm. It sounds like momentum plays a big role, not only in your life and how you show up as a chiropractor, but how you guide people through their healing process or just support them as a chiropractor, because you described many different things that you do to prepare yourself each day, and that carries through in the service that you provide for others. So I think that as a pre-chiro student, you can take a lot of what Dr. Siegel just shared and go back and listen to that and maybe develop some rhythms in your own life that can help you tap back into yourself, and also just expand your mind on what it means to become a doctor of chiropractic. So often we get connected to doctor. So can you talk about how important communication is? Because it seems like you're a really excellent communicator. And can you just talk a little bit about how you communicate with people as a chiropractor when they're in your office? Can the adjustment take place in a verbal sense? Obviously, we're adjusting physically, but can you adjust somebody through communication?
Yeah, so that's a great awareness. So, the way I look at it, I think about my office as a lighthouse, and the adjustment might come when they walk through the door. They can literally feel that energy. They can feel the spirit. And one thing that, that I love that, I guess they don't really teach you in school is to be real. Like one thing I share with people, I won't curse today because I'm working on it. But one thing I share is I share my stuff, like I share about my dad being a drug addict, taking all our money, going through all the challenges of a child, watching my sister, get killed in a car wreck. I share my shit, like I get there, I look in their eyes and say, listen, I'm as messed up as you, but I'm willing to work on my stuff. So I feel you. I understand. But I also say, if you don't work in your issues, they become part of your tissues. And so, when I went through my own healing crisis, I think we're all chosen to be chiropractors. We're chosen to be healers. We're chosen into our profession. And I truly believe that's how life works. It's like I've been through so much baggage, but I used to be a victim. And, when I started to work on myself from the inside out, not from the outside in, I started to use that stuff instead of being my fortress as my fuel. And so, when people come in, I get real with them. Like I tell them my issues. I tell them my challenges. I share whatever comes up in my life. Like I say, I'm an open book. And so when the communication is, to be real, to connect to heart, it's about connecting to their soul state. It's not like I'm the doctor, I don't use fear. Fear is false evidence appearing real, or I say, fuck everything and run. But the whole point is when you get heart to heart, people feel that. People feel the genuineness. And I don't say anything I don't feel. Like I tell people everything, because my wife says you have no filter. I know, I'm sorry for my kid who's 5 because he has no filter either, but I love it. But I just allow myself to express whatever comes through because I know it's guided by a higher power. And so when I communicate, of course, I have my systems down on a linear level, because people live in a linear world a lot. So you got to meet them where they're at. Like if I'm talking apples and they're thinking oranges, we're never going to dance together. But I got to also follow their rhythm and lead them to a better rhythm. So when I say communication, it's like I have my forms, I have my things, my structure, but I also believe that it's also about using it. You have your foundation, but going with the flow. So you got to dance those two worlds together.
Yes. Meeting people where they're at, being real, just keeping it real with people will get you very far. And most people that go into healthcare don't realize that depending on the profession that you choose, you might not get the opportunity to really connect with somebody on a deep level. They might see you once a year, or they might see you and then see a different doctor if you're in a hospital or if you're in an interdisciplinary setting. As chiropractors, we get to see people on a regular basis. And I think it's a big differentiating factor. What you're talking about is not really possible a lot of the times if you're a physical therapist that just basically shuffles people towards your PT aide or your PT assistant. As chiropractors, we're right there, hands-on, spending time with people, sharing stories, developing a connection that's much deeper than most chiropractors can really speak to if you're just going to visit them as a pre-chiro student for one session and you're just trying to observe them. I mean, what we're trying to do here in pre-chiro is go deeper, and I appreciate you going much deeper into what it's like to be a chiropractor, what it's like to practice. So let's keep going into like how you got started in practice. It's definitely challenging getting out of school, not having any experience as a business owner or not having any experience in practice of chiropractic. What's like some basic things that you can share with students to help them wrap their head around what it's like to get started in practice?
Well, I think now that the schools are really doing, that's one of the amazing things. I think they have like mentorship or internship programs that students can actually go shadow and work in different offices to get their credits. Or, when I went to school, they was like, all right, here you go. Here's your degree. See you later. Put a shingle up. But now, like I know Life West and Life University, I think Sherman as well. Those are the ones I kind of connect with because they're more principle based, and that's what I align myself with. They have internship programs that you can actually go work in offices and really get real world experience and do the work. You're literally someone's like, do this, do that. But when you humble yourself and say, I'm going to learn from someone who's been practicing 10, 20, 30, 40 years, there's something in that. So I think if you can do that while you're in school, that would be the first step. I also say when you're in school, develop, your business plan, develop, your forms, develop, even though it might change 1,000 times, have a structure. One thing, Arnaud told me, when you're in school, every quarter buy a piece of artwork. So by the time I got out of school, I had my whole office decorated. By the time I got out of school, I had like 2 chiropractic tables. I worked a second job at school. I babysat. I also took out the max student loans because, it paid for a lot of these seminars before I started teaching with these people. You had to pay for the seminar. But then I said, you know what? I want to go for free. So I'm going to go work for these people. So I surrounded myself with these people. So one, I saved the expense of paying for all the seminars because it can get, expensive. So that was the thing. You're in school, do the work when you're in school. Don't wait till you graduate to start. If someone told me in first quarter prereq, start doing this, I didn't start till, really what my turning point was up until like sixth quarter. I was in school and I wasn't doing the right thing. And then my sister got killed by a drunk driver and I became like a straight A student. And so then I started to really dive into all this stuff. But while you're in school, prepare with all these people. When you get towards your last year of school, go do an internship. When you get out of school, I've coached with a lot of different people, Siegel, Kevin Donka, Lou Carletto. Right now I'm coaching with Dr. Schiffman, Ben Lerner, Brad Glowacki as well. I got like 3 coaches right now. And, and it's not just about having a coach, but, success leaves clues. And if you can go to seminars, DE, and get the foundation and follow these people that are doing it in the right way, being honoring and integrity, then it makes it a lot easier. I guess for the financial side is keep your overhead low. When I first started, in my Belmore office with Dr. Michael Goodman. He's practicing, I think, like 40 years right now. He started me out on a sliding scale. When I started out, he gave me the first month half rent, and then within 4 months I was paying full rent, and I shared the space with him, and he kept my overhead really low. And so that was the financial side of it. Also, then a little different than it is right now with what's going on in the world. I did screenings, I did events, anywhere I can go for free or very little money. I went to all those places. I work, like 6 days a week for 7 days a week, depending on the months. But I would do any event that they had a table at and just talk to people. I remember going around town with Arnaud and carrying my spine and just walking into stores saying, I'm Josh the chiropractor. I'm Josh the chiropractor. Everywhere I go, I leave a business card. I'm Josh the chiropractor. I'm Josh the chiropractor. Everywhere I go, I would talk about chiropractic, and take Dr. Shipman's like, everywhere you go, sow seeds. Everywhere you go, sow seeds. It doesn't matter where you plant the seeds, knowing that the harvest will come, knowing that you will be abundant. If we truly believe we're children of God, then you know what? Abundance is everywhere. We should see the signs and wonder. We should have favor. But we get into the mind, that dark energy, whatever you want to call it, Satan, demons, I don't care, that ego, it's going to try to edge God out, try to take you away from your purpose, because that you got to tame that voice, just like the story of two wolves, which wolf wins, the one you feed. And so, you don't need a lot of money to start a practice. I have 2 offices right now, and my overhead for both the offices together is less or the same about people pay for one office. And if it was up to me again, I would probably just start. It was up to me again, I'd probably just start in one office. You can't feed 2 things. You got to focus on one thing, single-minded focus. And so what I tell new practitioners is literally, listen, you want to grow your business? Only focus on your business. Only focus on growing you. Don't focus about going out, partying. I'm a doctor, this, that. I didn't have a new car in my life until like I don't know, I was probably 7, 8 years out of practice. I had a used car. I kept my overhead low. I lived in a basement apartment. At one point, I lived with my grandma. I was grandma's boy. But I lived in a basement apartment just to keep my overhead low. And that's how I lived my life. I kept it really simple, and now I'm seeing the fruits of my labor, 17 years coming up in practice. And my wife's, I have a son who's 5. My wife's a teacher. We have a new baby coming. My wife's 18 weeks pregnant. And, I'm just seeing all these things happening. But, they think at first you don't succeed, try again. That makes keep on keeping on, Dr. Sid used to say. Turn the crank, You don't give up when you don't see the fruits develop, You got to keep working at it. And if you know that a good tree will bear good fruit, if you're a good person, you're going to bear good fruit. But if relationships are not bearing good fruit, get rid of them. I don't care who it is. We always say, your spiritual family will never end. Your blood family will end. But I don't care who it is in my life. If it's a negative, toxic relationship, get rid of it. If it's a negative, toxic thought, get rid of it. And so that's what I work on every day, because that voice comes in so many times that I slip and check. But years ago, I used to slip. Like when years ago, I went through a healing crisis. I got diagnosed after Pasquale passed away. He was like my spiritual dad, and he passed away on my biological dad's birthday. And then next thing you know, my leg flared up like it looked like I had elephantitis. And I went to the ER, and my inflammatory rate was 1,000 times more than it should be. And so I started to search on all these things. And until I really dove on the inside, I never really grew on the inside. So I say use your story, right? As we said before, your fortunes make it your fuel, and your burdens become your blessings. So I think you as a healer can use all your life challenges to help others, because we're all suffering. But if you use your suffering as blessings, it's like it's not suffering anymore. I know I just gave you a lot. It's just that's what
no. It's beautiful. You're not giving it to me. You're giving it to prospective students that may one day listen to you and really have something shift within them. That's what the whole point of this is. So many things to say here, but I will just say you touched on having multiple coaches for chiropractic students. That could just look like you surrounding yourself with people that are a little further into the program or into the path than you are, or have figured out something that you're attracted to, and you can basically gain some insights a lot faster if you work with them. So working with others is definitely helpful. Can you unpack just what that relationship looks like to have quote unquote coaches, or just to work with other chiropractors that help you stay aligned and help you stay focused and keep you grounded in chiropractic?
Yeah, I guess for me, always being an athlete, playing high school sports, all different sports, it's like, when you have a leader that's, has that wisdom and knowledge, I always love that Michael Howard, he always talks about success leaves clues. Every time I heard that guy speak, success leaves clues. And, I'm not a smart guy. I'm like the average student, but when I say working with coaches, they have a game plan. And if you don't have a plan, you plan to fail. And so literally working with all different types of coaches, from spiritual coaches to health coaches, I keep working on my stuff. At one point, personally, I was 358 pounds, and I'm like, man, I need help, and so I work with this guy, and he showed I lost 140 pounds. And so when you have a system, you have structure. So when you're working with coaches, I think in schools, it's actually, sometimes they just give it to you for free. It's a lot cheaper to do things as a student than as a doctor, but you have a game plan. And so I started working, I guess a year ago, with Dr. Brad Glowacki from the Patient Maven. And this guy is just a humble dude. He literally, creates a system and structure to create a communication system in many ways to just guide people along that path. So I think you got to start somewhere. And as you get more involved, you're gonna find systems in each of these, all different programs. I don't think any coach is the best. I think every coach, whoever is the best for you, you got to find what works for you. But I remember working with Siegel. He's like, just give it to the spirit. And I'm like, dude, just show me how to do it. And he couldn't. But and now that I'm working with Dr. Schiffman, I understand what Siegel was saying, because it was a spiritual maturity. When I was working with Siegel, I was like right out of school, and I didn't understand a lot of what he said, but I just kept working at it. And then working with Dr. Ben Lerner, he's more of the system guy. He's got do this, do that, implement this, implement that, from like, okay, A plus B equals C, and then Schiffman does all that stuff. But he's so in a spiritual realm, it's like, I'm like, man, this guy just tapped into the word, not the world. And so I think there's many different coaches and coaches systems. And every coach I work with, I got a lot out of, but I also believe I got what I put into it. And you could have the best coach in the world, and they could say, do this, this. But if you don't do it, it's not going to work. And if you force it, it's definitely not going to work. So, like, one thing I got from Dr. Schiffman today was like, just go with the spirit. Like, he asked me about something. I'm like, nah, I haven't done it. It doesn't feel. He goes, then hold off on it. And so get out of the analytical and get into the heart space.
Yeah, I've heard recently, faith over fear, right? There's so much fear in the world, and you're going to be contracting if you keep being and living in a place of fear. And right now, chiropractors are one of the few people in the communities that are dealing hope still, that have faith that things are still organized and coordinated, that the world hasn't fallen apart, that, this is a byproduct or an effect of many different causes that we've been able to identify, just being conscious humans living in the world. And I think one of the most beautiful things about becoming a chiropractor is it opens your eyes to the world. It opens your eyes to ask questions like, why is something the way that it is? And a lot of the times people are not asking the right questions. So what are some questions that a student in high school, middle school, maybe even college should be asking of themselves if they're thinking they want to go towards health care or towards trying to help people? What are some good questions to be asking today?
I think the first question that just came to me as soon as you shared is, what is your definition of health? Because, people think about this system out there as a healthcare system. And as we know, as chiropractors, vitalistic chiropractors, it's a disease care system. It's a critical care system. It's an emergency care system. Nobody during this, I don't even want the C word or the P word, whatever you want to call it, nobody's talking about how to raise your health, how to be adaptable. And what this, whatever you want to call it out there, has shown us is that the healthcare system has failed us. So you got to ask yourself, when you're looking, or I say pray about it. What does your spirit call you? Where are you guided to? you know, what's in your heart? You know, some people like, I hear nowadays, you know, 50% of students in chiropractic school, I just heard Dr. Ron Oberstein say that 50% of people in chiropractic school haven't even been adjusted. So whatever you're going to do, whatever you feel guided to, go shadow those people. Go check out like 100 different offices. So you could see it's like going to Baskin Robbins, 31 flavors. Go see different flavors of healthcare. Go see different flavors of chiropractic. Because one person might call chiropractic, in my mind, might not be chiropractic. But listen, everyone's doing what's in their heart. And if you're doing it for the right reasons, God bless you. If you're doing it to just make a lot of money and this and that and get as much as you can from the system, I say you're missing the mark. Because if you're in a healthcare profession or even a teacher, you've been chosen or called, but you got to follow your calling. But I say you got to go look at all different practices, get into the nuts and bolts of it, and see how all these places operate. See what their life is. You know, it's like I was reading this book, and it talked about when you want to find a coach. Let's say you want to find a marriage coach, and he uses an example, and that person's been divorced 10 times and has a shitty marriage, and his kids hate him, and blah blah blah. Is that someone you really want to mentor with? But, you know, there's like a checklist to look at. You know, are they in integrity? Are they a God-loving person? Are they balanced? Are they a good father, husband, blah, blah, blah? Look at their relationships. Look at their inside relationship. Look at their outside. Look at their lifestyle. Like, you know, why would I pick a trainer that's literally like, you know, 500 pounds? They're not living the message. So I listen, I was a fat doctor is my joke. But, you know, I work on my stuff every day, you know, because I know I can be better. And I know every day I get better, I'm able to be a better aspect of every part of my life. So you want someone living the life. You know, we know that chiropractic is not, in my mind, chiropractic is not a profession. Chiropractic is a calling. Chiropractic is a lifestyle. Chiropractic is a philosophy of life, meaning that life, it's a natural way of healing from the inside out with no drugs, no surgery, no, you know, and it's when you remove that subluxation, that body's able to express 100% life, 100% intelligence, 100% force. That's when the body heals. Like I haven't had a rheumatoid flare-up in 5 years. I'm on no drugs. You know, but also when I went through, I had Corona this year in January, didn't know what it was. After a few days, I did go to the medical system and they gave me antibiotics. It did nothing. You know, I had to go 2 weeks and just laid at home. And my wife's like, get over it. You just have the flu. And I'm like, all right, because they weren't calling it what they were calling it. And so, you know, when you give your body, you know, we always say healing takes time and repetition, but so does disease. And so doesn't matter where you want to go. It's what you feel in your heart to be led by, you know, a higher power.
Well, it's my goal to get your message to the people that need to hear it. So thank you for sharing. I appreciate your truth. I appreciate the love that comes from you, and keep doing what you're doing, serving the people. I mean, at the end of the day, I think that more people heard the message you just shared. They would be like, what? That's something that I could actually go and do or somebody that I could actually become, you know. And I know that you've got years and years of experience, training, dedication, working with people that also have dedicated their lives and really help you upgrade your skills or upgrade your communication or just get more aligned in your truth. But at the same time, that's what you're doing to help people that are, you know, just getting started on step one. I mean, just imagine if you heard that message you just shared right now and you hadn't even gone to chiropractic school yet, you would be thinking to yourself, okay, this makes sense. I want to go try this. I want to go to different offices. So some of the questions I derive from what you just said is like, what types of offices haven't I seen? Or have I seen enough offices to make an informed decision on the type of chiropractor I want to become? Or where am I misaligned in my life, in my lifestyle, in the way I take care of myself? So anyway, lots to be reflected on in this talk. And I just give you the mic just for, or, you know, just pass it to you one last time, just to share any last messages with prospective students that are really at the very, very beginning of this path, and just, you know, just share some more light with them.
Awesome. So I think, you know, seeing, like, looking back, you know, from like middle school to high school, like, don't let anybody tell you what you can and can't be, you know, like that's one of the things I think, like, it's really sad, but I think about, you said it being a guidance counselor, and I think about my junior high guidance counselor, literally, like, was there for me when my dad died, and he said, you could be anything you want to be. And surround yourself with people that build you up, not break you down. And like I said, it doesn't matter. It's your family, your friends. If they don't build you up, get rid of them. I'm not talking about being honest. That's cool. But if they're not building you up on your purpose, your passion, your mission, the mission mindset, we say, get rid of them. Get rid of dead weight. Get rid of low-hanging fruits. Trim those branches, cut down those trees. And I will say, if you have a passion for anything, the word passion means pass it on. That it doesn't matter what you've been told. If you have a passion, you can do anything. Like I just shared, my story, when I got out of school and during school, there's 4 parts of the boards. I'm not proud of this, but I am proud of it because it talks about diligence and dedication. I took part 1 like numerous times. I took part 2, 3, and 4 twice each. It's just when I could teach people during we're studying, but when it came to a test, I had such anxiety and fear that, it took me an extra year to get all my boards done out of school. And, because I knew no matter what, I was going to be a chiropractor. And I have a guy who graduated with us. I mean, we're 17 years out, the guy still's not done with part 1. And I'm like, and, that's his journey. And I just said to him, listen, if you really want to do this, you can do it. But if you have excuses, you can have every excuse in the world. Just like right now, people say, oh, my practice is not growing. You know what? There's no better time right now to be a chiropractor in my mind, because listen, what this is showing is Corona, that the healthcare system is failing people. Most people that have been affected that are boom, 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 obesity, diabetics, autoimmune cancer. Yeah, if you treat your body like shit and you throw something new at it, it's going to go even haywire. So is it the coronavirus that's, wiping people out? No, you're not taking care of yourself for years. That it just throws you off your game, and you throw something new into the mix and people get really messed up. But if you keep working on your health and you're adaptive, we know chiropractic is all about adaptability and that neurological connection. If you're adaptable in your life, you go with flow. Zero adaptability is death. 100% adaptability is wellness and wholeness. So no matter where you are in your life, if you want to change, it's like I went from 350 pounds to 240 right now. Like, you could change it. It doesn't matter what's in this world. You can be of this world and not. You can be in the world, not of the world. And so what I say to everybody, if you have a vision, boom. Without vision, the people will perish. You got to have a vision. But they also say faith without works is dead. If you don't have, you can have all the faith and read quote scripture and Bibles and spiritual stuff. I see so many people that talk the word, but they're not living the word. And, listen, I'm not perfect. Like I always tell, like I said, I'm messed up, but I know my spirit is perfect. So I say, whatever you need to work on, whatever you need to work on, you got to work on every day. I had a few days off for Thanksgiving, and I said to my wife, I don't even want to take a week off. I like a long weekend because I kept with my game. I kept my game plan. Like I didn't stop because it was Thanksgiving or this or, I still enjoy life. But, every day I work on myself. And on the weekends, I change it up a little bit. But, Monday through Friday, I have this. Saturday and Sunday, I have this. I don't want to take a week off. This, as Arnaud would say, when you're serving people and you're really in the flow, you're on an endless vacation. And, like, I love being in my office. Make your office your masterpiece. And that's what I think about, like, I love doing what I do. It's, of course, there's paperwork and stuff like that and all that stuff. But it's part of the game.
Yeah, I mean, if you're thinking of going into healthcare, you could go and become a heart doctor or a stomach doctor. A lot of people try and pigeonhole chiropractic as being a back doctor, but never in this 40-minute conversation did we even talk about the spine, mention the back, mention the neck, mention the spine at all, really. I mean, it was not involved in a 40-minute conversation about the path to become a chiropractor. So I just wanted to point that out, that there's much more to this than meets the eye. And there's so much depth available for anyone considering this path. So Dr. Josh, appreciate you, man. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Dr. Bennett. Love and appreciate you, brother. Thank you, Zach, for connecting us.
Most definitely. Yes. Zach is the connection, the bridge. Appreciate you, man. Have a great day. I got to get back to family stuff. We'll talk to you later.
Enjoy that baby reef, man. God bless you guys.
Bless you too, brother. Thank you. Talk to you later.
Bro.
Later.